Hello and welcome to the hands-on review of iPhone 5. In this review I'm going to talk about a lot of the aspects of the phone and how it compares to iPhone 4, which is what a lot of people are upgrading from because everyone's on 2-year contracts. So first I want to talk about the build of iPhone 5. So iPhone 5 is made out of glass on the front, anodized aluminum, unibody, and there's a strip of glass here and a strip of glass here. Whereas on the iPhone 4 and 4S, there's glass on the front, glass on the back, and a stainless steel band around. So if you look at the edges, this one actually has a corner where if you drop the phone, it would directly hit the ground and it could shatter the glass. Whereas here, there's a bevel, so you don't hit the ground directly on the glass, but instead on the aluminum first. So this makes it less likely to shatter, as early tests have shown. And the other thing is on the back, this is anodized aluminum and this is glass, so again this is less likely to shatter. However, this one's less likely to scratch. Another thing is the camera lens, or the lens cover for iPhone 5 is sapphire crystal, which is the second hardest element known to man. It's used on a lot of watches, so basically this will not be scratched no matter what. This one I believe is just regular glass, so this could be scratched, although in my 2 years of using it I've never scratched it. Alright, so now let's go into the handling of the two smartphones. So iPhone 5, it weighs 3.95 ounces, and iPhone 4 and also 4S weigh 4.8 ounces. So it's about a 20% difference here, and you do feel it. And in addition to that, you also feel right away that this is thinner. This is about 18% thinner than iPhone 4 and iPhone 4S. And actually, from handling the iPhone 5 for the last couple of days, it feels not as good as handling iPhone 4 because this is thicker. So the edge actually bites into your hand a little bit. And the other thing worth mentioning is that this is longer, of course. So it has a 4-inch screen instead of 3.5-inch. And when you're holding the phone like this, it's very hard to get to the home button. So here, I can kind of go like that, whereas here you kind of have to do some kind of contortion to get to the home screen, which is a bit of a hassle, but it's some sacrifice you have to make. There is no other way around it for a bigger screen. So which one do I prefer in terms of comfort, making calls, and holding the phone? I actually think the iPhone 4 or 4S, they're a little better because of the thickness, and it fits very well in the hand, whereas this one I always feel like I might drop it, and it doesn't feel very comfortable after a long time, even though it is a little lighter. So I don't know if I'm one of the few people who think that way, but I think the thinner dimension of iPhone 5 actually makes it a little less comfortable than the previous generations. Alright, next let's talk about what you're going to be interacting with most of the time on the iPhone, which is the screen. So the screen on the iPhone 5 is 4 inches, and this iPhone 4 and 4S is 3.5 inches. So in terms of resolution, this is 1136 by 640. This is 960 by 640. So you notice from those numbers, the pixels per inch has not changed. So they're both the same kind of resolution, which is, well, not resolution, but density of pixels, which is 326 pixels per inch. However, this screen has the faux RGB spectrum. What that means is it has a wider color gamut and it will display truer to life photos. But in terms of using the two phones the last 2 days, I don't notice a huge difference in the colors. One thing I do notice is that this screen is brighter under the same brightness settings. I don't know if it leads to more battery usage or if it's just more efficient. So that's kind of hard to tell, but overall I have no complaints on either screen. So the reason why iPhone 5 went to a taller screen is because they want to have the 16:9 ratio, and if you calculate the pixel dimensions, it's almost exactly the 6:9 ratio, and the reason for that is a lot of videos are in that aspect ratio, and this way they can fit the whole screen. So here I'm going to play a video that's 1280 by 720, which is 16:9. This one is iPhone 4 and this one is iPhone 5. So you can tell a difference once I start playing the videos, and you'll see that the iPhone 5 can fit the whole screen, whereas iPhone 4 they are black bars, and you can enlarge it to get rid of the black bars, but you lose part of the picture. So you definitely get a better movie watching experience. But one thing to note is that most movies are not shot in 16:9. It's actually even a wider aspect, so you'll still get black bars on iPhone 5 for most movies. Next I want to talk about the camera on each phone. So right now they're in the camera app. Both are iOS 6, by the way. It's iPhone 5, iPhone 4. So the biggest difference is that iPhone 5's camera is 8 megapixels, iPhone 4 is 5, and for 4S of course is also 8. So the other difference is the front-facing camera. So iPhone 5 has a 1.2 megapixel camera, which is capable of 720p. On the iPhone 4 and also 4S, it's only 0.3 megapixels, so it's 4 times less, and it's only capable of VGA resolution. In terms of movie shooting, so if you use the rear camera, the iPhone 5 can shoot 1080p, whereas 4 is 720p and 4S is also 1080p. However, this one can also do face detection, and it also has video stabilization, and for photos you can also do panorama, which is right here. Some of those features are also available on the 4S, but apparently the video stabilization algorithm is more advanced on the iPhone 5. So here I'm going to do a quick demonstration of the cameras in action. So let's try the iPhone 4 first. HDR is turned on, and right now it's focused, and I'm going to take the picture. So it's taking a while saving the HDR. There we go. So now we have iPhone 5. That's done. It's at least 3 times faster than the iPhone 4. Now let me just show a close-up of the 2 pictures I've just taken. So you can see there's more detail in this area compared to the iPhone 4. And overall the image just looks better lit. So now let's do a quick loading test to see how fast the phones start apps up. So now I've cleared both phones' background apps, and let's try Plants vs. Zombies. So here we go. Alright, so obviously iPhone 5 is much faster. iPhone 4 is still not even halfway done, and iPhone 5's been chilling for the last 10 seconds. Alright, next let's load an app that in my opinion takes way too long to load, and that's the Weather Channel app. Here we go. So iPhone 5 is done, iPhone 4 is still thinking, and it's done. So you see again, iPhone 5 is significantly faster than the iPhone 4. Next I want to show the browser speed, and this is New York Times. Here we go. iPhone 5 is done. And iPhone 4 is still working on it, and finally done. So you can tell the browser speed is also much faster, which makes sense because this is using the A6 processor, whereas iPhone 4 is using the A4. And also, one thing I can't really demonstrate here is when you switch between apps, this one is a lot faster because it has 1 gigabyte of RAM, which this one has 512 megabytes. So when you use a bunch of apps and go back to Safari, Safari is not going to have to reload the website, whereas this one will have to reload because they had to clear the cache from the RAM. Now there are a few other things I want to mention. One thing is, of course, iPhone 5 is LTE, and iPhone 4 and 4S are 3G. So from my usage on AT&T, the LTE is about 4 to 5 times faster for me than 3G, and also the response time is much sooner, so you don't have to wait, or the latency is shorter. And also this one has Bluetooth 4.0, the iPhone 5, whereas 4 has 2.1. So also 4S has Bluetooth 4.0. So 4.0 gives you the ability to be compatible with future low energy Bluetooth devices, such as fitness devices. Also, iPhone 5 is the first iPhone to have 802.11 and 5 gigahertz bandwidth, so that allows you to have faster Wi-Fi, and also it's less crowded, so you're not affected by things like other cell phones and the microwave. And in terms of battery, this is a little interesting because iPhone 5 you can do 8 hours talk time versus 7 hours talk time on iPhone 4. However, the standby time for iPhone 5 is 225 hours, whereas iPhone 4 is 300 hours. So somewhere in there, due to hardware changes, this one draws more power when it's sleeping, such as right now, than the iPhone 4. So this will last 3 more days when it's in this state. Also, in terms of sound quality, the iPhone 5, it has a much better speakerphone in my opinion. So this sounds a lot clearer and louder, also fuller. It also has 3 mics instead of 2 on the iPhone 4. So in conference calls I've made, I sound a lot clearer to the person on the other end, even though I'm farther and there are background noises. So for that, it's a plus. Also, the earphone for the iPhone 5 is the new Yearpod, and I did a side-by-side comparison between the Yearpod and the old earphone, and this one sounds much better. I would say like several times better than the previous one. Definitely worth $29 to buy, even if you don't get the iPhone 5. I wouldn't spend, $40, $50 on it, but $29 is definitely worth it. Also, it fits more comfortably and it doesn't feel like it's going to fall off. The other thing is the mic is inside the casing now, so that makes it a little more resistant to rain, water, perspiration, what have you. And the travel for the keys are also deeper, so you're sure that you've pressed the key compared to the old one. So the question is, which one would you choose, because their prices are very different. So the iPhone 4 right now is free with the 8GB version, whereas iPhone 5 is, the cheapest one is $199 for a 16GB version. So with all those improvements I've talked about, I say if you're going to be using it for 2 years, I would pick the iPhone 5 because it's future compatible with the iOS future versions, and also it's just so much better to use. The user experience is just more fluid, faster, everything sound better, and then videos look better. So I would pick the iPhone 5. But if you're comparing with the 4S, in terms of speed, I would imagine it's not too much difference, and the rest just comes down to these features like the bigger screen, the camera's about the same, the LTE is definitely a plus, battery's about the same. In terms of sound, yeah, you can get the Yearpod separately for your iPhone 4S. So between 4S and iPhone 5, it's harder decision, but if you're thinking about upgrading from 4S, you also have to pay, I think, off-contract price on iPhone 5, so that makes it even tougher. So that's a tough call. If you really like iPhone 5, go for it. Otherwise, probably wait another year for iPhone 5S, maybe. This has been a hands-on review of the iPhone 5 and a comparison with the iPhone 4. So hopefully this video has been informative to you, and of course, thank you for watching. Please subscribe, and I'll see you next time.